Now we will create the sketch to be used for the wrap feature. I'm going to create the sketch on plane 1, the plane I had just created. And to start the sketch off, I'm going to draw a center line going right through the middle of the part. So I'll start from the origin and then go up to the midpoint of the top line. I drew this center line in here because I'm going to use a new tool with us in this lab. I'm going to use a tool called the dynamic mirror tool. What that tool is going to allow me to do is sketch on the right side of the center line and then automatically have the entities and the relations added on the left side. So to get started with this tool, I'll go up to the menu bar, which is way up in the top left, go to Tools, then I'll go to Sketch Tools, which is about 2/3 of the way down, then go over to Dynamic Mirror. Then the first thing it asks for me to do is to select a sketch line or linear model edge to mirror about. That thing that I will select will be my center line because I want everything that I draw on each side of the center line to be mirrored over to the other side. So I'll select the center line and then get started sketching with a midpoint line which will start below the origin but still in the middle of it. So I'll go somewhat below the origin, start the midpoint line, go to the right, making an automatic horizontal relation that is denoted by the yellow pending horizontal relation box. It says unable to create the symmetric element, but this is okay because as we know the midpoint line is already symmetric across the center line, so we'll press OK to continue. And then I need to make an arc that is tangent to the midpoint line that I just created and then start sketching upwards. So I'll return back to my previous point to start a tangent arc. And then I'll go upwards with a vertical line. And then I need another arc, so I'll go back to my previous point to start a tangent arc. And then over to the right with a horizontal line. I can double click to get out of this line command and see a somewhat U shape. Big thing to note here is that everything I drew on the right side is appearing on the left side because I used the dynamic mirror tool to mirror everything that I draw on the right side across this center line right here. Notice that it also added symmetric relations between all of the different elements so that if I change one thing on the right side, such as bringing this line down a little bit more, it changes on the left side. This speeds up sketching tremendously. So now I'll add some smart dimensions. I'll go from the left vertical line to the right vertical line and call that 2 inches. Create a vertical dimension from the bottom to the top, which will be 1.75. And then also create a vertical dimension from the top horizontal line to the top edge of the cylinder, which will be 0.75. We're almost done with our sketch. I just need to add a dimension for the radii, which would be 0.5. I will make the bottom right radii equal to the top right radii with a relation. What I did there was I held down Control on the keyboard and then left click the bottom right radius and then also the top right radius while still holding down Control. That allows me to go automatically into an add relation property manager dialog box and say equal so that they become equal to each other. We're going to add one more dimension here before we use the offset command, but that dimension is going to involve an equation. So we'll go up to the Smart Dimension tool and I'm going to click the very most left point of the sketch, and then the very most right point of the sketch. Let me zoom out just a little bit to orient the sketch. So this is my dimension. It's very important for it to be horizontal. I will click to place it, but instead of putting a number here, I'm going to put an equation that is going to be equal to the diameter times the value of pi. Now, if you've never heard of the number of pi, which is 3.14, it's a number that describes the circumference of any circle. It's said that the total distance around any circle is equal to its diameter times this weird number called pi, which is 3.14. So what we're doing here is we're setting a length from the very leftmost point of the sketch to the very rightmost point of the sketch to be equal to the circumference of the circle, or the total distance going around the circle. This is going to allow our sketch to completely and perfectly wrap around our cylinder, because as you know from our first video, our cylinder has a diameter of 1.5, and this pi value, it's a universal constant for all cylinders. So I'll press the equal sign first, and then I'll type 1.5, and then the asterisk sign on my keyboard, and then I'll just type pi, P-I, P-I. Once I do that, I'll press enter, and then I can confirm the dimension, and there is my value. It is equal to 4.71, probably a lot more digits than that. But the important thing is that this is set by an equation that is equal to 1.5 times pi.